Hi, my name is Sandy Carter, and I am IBM's Vice President of Social Business Evangelism. And thank you so much for joining us for today's Social Business Coffee Break. Got a really exciting session today on what's happening globally with social and a top couple of takeaways occurring around the world. So the first thing, let's look at some data. Now this just came out 2012 from eMarketer, and I thought it was really interesting. We all know that social networking is exploding, but did you know that there are 1.2 billion people around the world who are leveraging at least one social network in their daily lives? Asia represents almost half of the users and will in 2014 be about 46% of those users. And the highest growth today is occurring, as you would imagine, in some of the emerging markets. Now today, if you look into the numbers, China is leading that social usage charge. However, India is coming up fast and furious. They have the fastest growth that's occurring, while China has the most extensive usage occurring in the marketplace. Of course, the US is in there as well as being a fast mover into the social space. And if we look at it, you know, the top areas of focus today happen to be the US, Russia, China, and India, some of the top moving companies. So what would be our advice on some of those great numbers that come to us from eMarketer? Well, the first one, and this came to us as well from the Global Web Index from Tom Smith, is that what we see emerging now, because of the way that China is approaching social, and because of their size and the unique position of the players, is that we're seeing China and the rest of the world. These different applications, right? Facebook is not accepted there, YouTube's not accepted there, Twitter's not accepted there. Because of that, because they're banned in China, we're seeing a new market come out. So what's the recommendation? Well, the recommendation is that if you are a global company, you're probably going to need two strategies. One that embraces what the rest of the world uses as social tools, and one that embraces what China uses. And in fact, in both of these cases, you really want to take a look at internal usage, because internal usage in China is also growing. Now, let's do the second area, and that is that India is enormous. And in fact, as we talked about earlier, is driving that growth. And if you think about the leaders in this space, they're the normal, typical leaders. However, some of the patterns are a little different. The folks in India like a lot to use Facebook with pictures. They like to use Twitter, and 57% of them, over half, will be leveraging social internally. So if you're a company in India, you need to get on board quickly so you're not left behind. And if you're marketing in that area, you need to understand how you might fit into the supply chain and the internal processes that are going on inside of India. The third area and the third piece of advice is around Russia. Now, Russia also has some unique players in the marketplace, and they are really increasing their influence worldwide. They're in that top 5 area that we talked about, both from the eMarketer survey as well as from IBM's 2011 Developer Work survey as well. They have some top networks that are unique to Russia, but they also leverage and use some of the typical normal ones. So as you're going after this market, either as a supplier or marketing to them or playing in the market, you need to make sure that, again, your strategy looks out over the expanse of Russia and uses and leverages the tools and the engagement models that are prevalent there. Now, about a quarter of folks in Russia will also be using social internally. So again, when you're going after Russia, you need to look at how social is going to be used inside a corporation's processes. If you're part of the supply chain, you want to play a role in that social enablement of the process. So my name is Sandy Carter. This has been a fun global social business coffee break. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.